So Harlem Renaissance. Have you guys ever even thought about that very much? Maybe some people.
What'd you say? I was there.
You were there. You were there.
I
bet it was fabulous. The costumes. So, and you know, it's very interesting also, CNN, was it CNN or was it National Geographic had a thing on American Style? I don't know if anyone saw it, but they talked about the clothing and the zoot suits and how they kind of set themselves apart, and that was like the minorities, you know, they were setting themselves apart. So there was a whole renaissance in that. There was style happening, there was art happening, there was music happening, and you're all going to get to listen to some of the amazing music of the time while you're creating your artwork. So we're going to start with our backgrounds first. We're going to try to do this in sort of 2 steps and get right into it, so we have some dry time. So the first thing that we're doing is we're going to create our background, and pretty much you're going all the way edge to edge, and you're creating a really moody background, and we're going to start some music in just a moment. So the paintbrushes are for the background. Don't saturate the paper. You want to keep it more of a dry brush technique. But then you have the chopsticks. So if you remember, what was our last project that we did? Boomhead. Boomhead. And what kind of art did Jean-Michel Basquiat do?
Graffiti.
Can we let one of the kids answer?
I thought we were impersonating children.
So you guys get to do a little bit of that. So your chopsticks, you're actually going to etch into your paint and do sort of like graffiti background. And then we're going to let these dry. And then we're going to create our people. So the artwork is based off of an artist who did collage work. But we got to get the backgrounds done first. And then I'll talk to you about the art and everything else. Okay. So you can see here our example. And you're going to be creating your jazz musician with your instrument. We also have jazz singers, if you prefer. And depending on the age of your group, kindergarten or first grade, it might be a little difficult. Second, third, and fourth, you may be able to do it. We might create stages, too. So this is just very basic shapes, like a rectangle, okay? And we're going to cut it out and do these different things afterwards.
So our background is more like creating the musician as opposed to the thread.
No. The background is all of this. So you decide if you want to go warm tones. Okay. And we're going to put some music on right now to start creating our backgrounds. So the warm colors, you have your pink and your red. We're using deep, rich colors that were really becoming popular at the time as well. Colors had been kind of drab before, so we're kind of boosting up these rich, deep tones. And then you have your cool tones. So I would, if I were you, I would kind of decide, am I going to do a warm palette, which is like red tones? What kind of energy do you feel when you see red? It's a little more energetic as opposed to, what does a cool tone make you feel like? A little more mellow, right? Okay.
We cover the whole paper without, or
yes, you're going,
leave a spot for him. Or
no, you're covering your whole paper. Right. You're creating your backdrop. So imagine there's a stage, and this is your backdrop, okay?
Should it be all one color?
No. Thank you for asking this, Sarah. No, you're going to choose either a cool palette or a warm palette and cover your whole background, okay?
And it's not going to affect our musician.
Nope, absolutely not.
Hey, Amy, is that speaker going to be in here when we do our classes?
We have a boom box, too.
We have a cute little white and pink kid boom box.
Yes, we can get that out and use the boom box. So it's very easy. Yes, she burned a CD. I know.
So I have these ones from, if people own Docent speakers, I can send out the music if it's easier for them to just play it from their own speaker. Or I will also leave a CD.
I think we should just leave it here.
That's really nice.
And your phone and your social. I'm going to leave this boom box and there will be a CD in it. In it or in the red binder? In it, just leave it in it.
Yeah, leave it in it.
Vertical or horizontal?
Yeah.
Oh, so thank you. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. We're going to do this in a horizontal format so you have enough space. So I think I'm going to switch this to the second page. In the deck, it's kind of buried in the center. Ooh, I love everybody's backdrop. This is fabulous.
Yeah. There is already plus 4.
Now, everybody remember, we're dealing with acrylics, so you need to be mindful of your sleeves. Pull your sleeves up if you have long sleeves, okay? Because your parents don't want to have to try to get acrylic out of your clothes. Don't watch those sleeves there. Watch those sleeves.
And your clothes.
Oh, it's looking great. So this is kind of mellow. Should we go to the next song and see? Here we go.
Should we start shopping?
Yeah. Oh, you're making your graffiti backpack.
Yeah.
Job. Oh, I love what you're doing here.
Doing that since you
Yeah. Rosie's making my copy. So what does this song make you feel like?
I don't want to like drop like get a dance.
Like you want to bop around? So what kind of colors and lines does that make you feel like? Straight lines, round lines? I don't know. Those are good chopsticks. Oh, students, we forgot to put our names on first.
Okay.
See, we get so excited with things and we forget to do that. So that's something that we all do.
Yes.
Put your name on the back.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we can do that at the end. Yeah. Shall we bring the drawing mats out? So that everybody can have the little space to do the next phase. Okay. So 2 more minutes. We're going to finish up our backgrounds, and then we're going to go to our collage work. You can if you want, but it might seem more comfortable.
Parents all took a time.
Okay, so if you have finished your background and want to put it on the side and clear the table off, that'd be great.
Like all the newspaper or what do you
Yeah, so at this point, we can pick up the paints and the brushes and put the lids back on and set these aside. Because now our next part, we're going to have scissors and paper and glue.
Some of them are quite curly.
Oh, glitter. We should have some glitter, shouldn't we?
That just looks like dry brush using.
Does it feel glittery to you? They used to wear lots of sparkles. that's what it's about, though. Okay, you can throw those in the trough there.
You guys?
So our I don't know if I shared the last time we talked about having a trough of warm soapy water ready to go in the sink. So when the brushes come out, you can drop them right in, and then they're easier to get clean. If you want, you can fold your newspaper over on itself, or you can remove it. It's up to you. You have some more brushes? Great. Oh. Okay. All right. So we should all have our stuff put up to dry. These look like they're gonna dry really quickly. You guys did a great job with your dry brush technique.
I'm not sure. I'll just put it in there. I can put it either.
Okay. So now you're going to set the stage. You created the backdrop. Imagine you're putting on a jazz performance. Do you want to have a stage? If you have older kids, you might want to have a stage. If you don't have older kids, then we'll just focus on the actual thing, okay? Okay. So this really ties in with the video that we just saw. I'm not going to reiterate it, but it's explaining how it came about. So we all have a little bit of background now. So after everybody's done their background painting, you can go through and talk about it. And now we're talking about the artist, Romare Bearden. So at the time, he was from the School of Arts and Crafts. It was very important for aspiring Black artists. If you think about folk art, you know, that was the basis here. So new government programs provided encouragement and financial incentive, and so it helped start his career. So jazz was really new at the time. And people had never heard music like that because all the music before was kind of calm and mellow, and jazz had a different kind of energy. Did you guys feel that energy when you're listening to the music? Because there's a lot of trumpets and saxophones, and there was a cello or a guitar, or it could also be called a bass. So these instruments were really important in creating the sound that you're hearing in that music, in creating the energy. So we have templates, if you can see in front of you, and you can choose what kind of instrument you want your musician to be playing. If you want it to be a saxophone, or we have a trumpet, or drum, or if you just want to do a microphone with the singer, you can do that as well. So, his art was highly influenced by the sound and the energy of jazz. He was born in North Carolina and moved to Harlem when he was a little boy, and he regarded himself as African American, though he was born from a multiracial family. Do you guys know what multiracial means? So at the time, this was kind of unusual. And so he may have felt sort of like an outsider because he didn't exactly fit into one group or the other. But that's what Harlem was all about, was really celebrating these differences and all this diversity coming together. So he felt very at home and was really encouraged by all the music. So you can see some of his artwork here. Does this look perfect to you?
No. It's pretty.
No, it's abstracted, right? We can can look and we can see, okay, there's 4 people, but it doesn't have to be perfect. This was his view, his artistic interpretation of the musicians, of the energy. So, let's see.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so anyway, the thing that is kind of sets him apart from some of the artists at the time is that he did graduate from NYU and he went to the army. So, and then he went to Paris and studied in Paris. So he did have a really interesting life and lived all over the place, and that influenced his work as well. So his artwork exemplifies African American culture by merging abstract colors to depict brown complexions. So do you think there was a lot of artwork that showed people who look different, who had darker skin,
No.
or darker hair, or different shaped eyes? No, there really wasn't much at the time. So his artwork, he really wanted to kind of emphasize that. He was celebrating that. And so his artwork is an abstraction of that. So
Was he really the only Amy at that time?
No. There were a lot of other artists. I would say his work was really edgy and very
more celebratory of like the differences in color.
Yes, and really incorporated a lot of different mediums.
Okay.
You guys, have you ever heard that word medium before? So when you're an artist, you have, but do you know what it means when we talk about a medium in art?
No.
Okay. So what did you guys just use on your paper? Paint. Paint is a medium. It's a type of material that you are using to create your artwork. So his mediums were scraps of paper, pieces of newspaper, magazines, all sorts of different things that he found around. So he didn't say, oh, I'm only going to work in paint. He worked in a lot of different mediums and mostly collage. So he also did work in oils, and he did cartoon kind of drawings here. And, but he was most renowned for his collage artwork. So that's what we are doing today and focusing on. Let's see. So he used different abstract shapes to create the collages. So when you're cutting out different pieces of paper and you're putting them together and you're layering them, that's what gives them all the depth and the interest. So he used lots of different colors of paper mixed with paint. So we use paint for the backdrop, and now we're going to use papers on top. We have lots of different paper. We have solid paper, if you want to use solid paper to start creating your person. And then you can use some of the more decorative paper to create the details on your person, okay? And that's what really gives it the interest. And see, when you look at his faces, and his faces look kind of weird. You know why? Because he took pictures from magazines and he cut the eyes out. And he cut the mouths out of the pictures. And he glued them on. So you guys are going to be creating your faces and your musicians with different imagery that we have, okay? Okay, so some of the words I want you to think about, okay? Collage. What does collage mean? Put lots of different things together, glue them together, okay? Typically, it's some sort of paper or cloth that you do a collage with. Composition. What's a composition? A composition is how you put it together, okay? So we're going to talk about how you organize the shapes to create your forms. Curvature is the bending of a line. Proportion is the size, right? So when you look at someone over there, do they look really big or really small? They look smaller. So proportion, so we're going to talk about tall things and small things and how you create emphasis and a focal point by using different proportions. Rules of thirds, we're gonna talk about that. So when we're doing this, we're not gonna put our people right in the middle. We're gonna move them slightly to the side, okay? Scale, we talked about that. That's very similar to proportion. Shape. So with this is really about different shapes and putting all those shapes together, okay? And theme. So what do you think the theme of this is?
Harlem Renaissance.
Harlem Renaissance. But this is also about energy, okay? You don't have to have the theme of a Harlem Renaissance. You don't have to, because you're the artist here today. So you can think, if you want a special kind of theme for your musician or your singer, that's all up to you, and you get to choose that, okay? Okay. So, we have different shapes. You all have templates in front of you, right? So you can see all the different pieces you put together to make your person. You can choose if you want this to be yellow and this to be blue and this to be pink. It's up to you. You're the artist, okay? So you're gonna start by creating your body, and then you're gonna choose which instrument you want to use with it, okay? And we're dealing with really simple shapes. Everyone knows how to make a circle, right? Everybody knows how to make a triangle.
Are we allowed to trace?
Of course, of course. And we can thank Miss Rosie for cutting all of our templates out for us.
Yes.
And
So-
I would say, Amy, just real quick, if you're doing
Uh-huh.
a kindergarten class and maybe even a first grade class, I mean, you know your students, you know your kids by now. The shapes that are not simple, that are not triangles and circles and rectangles, you might just want to pre-cut some instruments for them to choose from to have on the table. Because I think this step is going to take a little bit longer than we think, and the younger grades might need some help.
Okay, I agree.
Just an idea
Mhm.
for the younger grades.
So we
Fourth grade
have
trace
the
them and
drawing
then
like
Rosie.
pencils, and then we like trace it onto paper.
Oh,
and then cut
yes,
out?
we need pencils on the tables. Where are our pencils and our papers, everybody? Let's get those out.
So I was gonna have them come up one table at, because there's a lot of options for the paper. You can use magazine, you can use a face from a magazine. You can use origami paper, you can use construction paper. We have scrapbooking paper. So if it was me in my class, I would excuse one table at a time to go back and choose their like 2 or 3 sheets of paper, whatever materials they want, and then come back and get started. So, well, I would just let them, I would say, you know, a magazine and 2 sheets of paper, or 2 or 3, yeah. I mean, we have a lot, but, you know, we got 16 classes.
Yeah. So a magazine.
The other thing we may want to think about is cutting the paper in half. So then they're dealing with smaller pieces. So
Yeah.
we have.
I mean, the
less
origami
wastage.
paper is, we have small and we also
Yes.
have bigger, so that's fine, but some of the construction paper we can cut in half.
Yeah, I
Or
think.
even quarter.
For my daughter's
Yeah.
class, which is 2nd grade,
Mhm.
that they couldn't even think straight if they had more options, seriously,
Yeah.
than like, I don't know. I mean, that I look at that and that's a lot. That's beautiful and that's good. But any more than that, I mean, we throw in origami paper. It's just kind of like, whoa, like that's
Maybe
just,
we have like some trays or baskets, and we have like solid paper in one, and we have.
because these are
different-
beautiful. Like
And the other thing to keep in mind, guys, is you're doing your theme. You can choose what your artists look like. You don't have to use a regular skin color if you don't want to. You are the artist here today. So don't think that you can't use blue if you don't want to. But remember the colors that you used for your background. Okay? So if you used warm colors, do you think you want to put warm colors on top of your background?
No.
No, you probably want to choose some different colors, right, that are going to contrast it.
Yeah.
So pick some cooler colors if you want the warm color or vice versa, okay? And I think you'll have a better outcome. So if you would like to go choose a couple paper options to start with your person. Let's start with the person first and get that started. And then we can do decorative paper after for the instruments and the accents. So like the accents on the clothing. Also, the singers don't have hair. So you guys get to decide what kind of hair your singers have, if you want to have long hair or short hair, and also for your musicians. Okay, you can choose the hair. So, we're going to start with the bodies. I think that'll be the easiest thing to do, and we're going to kind of keep it, well, let's just start getting our templates put together. I don't think our backdrops are dry yet, are they? So, for more advanced classes, the idea would be to kind of create a stage for your singer to sit on. Is this you? Okay. Is that you?
But you know, just going one step further, once we feel like confident, like if I feel like confident in my singer, do I cut her out and do I place her on
Yeah,
it?
just start assembling it. Don't
Okay.
glue anything
No, right,
yet.
but
We're
just
just going to
get
start
an
putting
idea.
our
Okay.
pieces together, sort of like paper dolls.
It's okay.
So you can see here how you can use a solid background and then start layering other things on top of it, like noses and mouths and different hair.
Oh, I bet you do, yeah.
For those of you who want to do more of a stage kind of thing, I want to show you really quick, or we can just take this out of the program altogether. So this would be sort of, it's two elements. You have a stage and then you kind of create like a curtain off to the side. So if you feel like you want it to look like a stage, it's basically a rectangle at the bottom, and then you make sort of a swoopy drape off to the side. So it's pretty simple. It just kind of takes it up a notch to do it with the stage. So, focus on your people, because that's the most important thing right now. And then if you feel like proportionately or scale-wise you want your person to be up higher, you can always make a stage, right? But you don't have to glue anything down yet. You just start layering it on. Do you want some more magazines? We have more magazines. I love that everything in that magazine is thinking about composition and the color, how you're putting color together. Does anyone want to look at any more magazines? Now, your singer's dress can be as elaborate as you want it to be. The clothing can be as elaborate as you want it to be. You can make belts and buttons and bows.
And then we'll need 4 hours.
Well, and the fun doesn't have to stop here, people.
That's true when you get home.
Right?
I'm not doing it yet because I don't know what I do yet.
I do with.
Go ahead.
So we are not going to be putting any fixative over the top. So something that you can share with your kids in your class is that when they go home, if they're very happy with their composition, they can always put some Mod Podge over the top of it and let it dry, and that way their little pieces of paper will not lift and fall off. So,
I actually.
and maybe we do this in the follow-up email also, and make a note in the follow-up email about to seal it with Mod Podge. Because that's the problem, is the glue sticks are great and they're very efficient. However, the paper lifts and little pieces can fall off easily over time. Now remember, if you guys are choosing to do the drums, you can make some drumsticks, which are just little skinny rectangles, right? Oh, so guys, you understand that the arms and everything can be put against the body. They don't have to be kept apart. It's like paper dolls. So, because I see some people keeping the arms away from the body. They don't have to be. You can place them however you want. So, okay, so we have requests for finished products.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I really like what you guys are all doing, though. I kind of don't want to influence the outcome.
They can on that out of range, so it's version 1.
Okay, so here you guys go. I think what you're doing is much more interesting, to be honest with you. But see how the arms are laid over the bodies, guys? Okay? So the pieces are just meant for you to be able to flex and move and do different things with. And if you have enough time to want to make a musician and a singer, you could totally do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Miss Sarah just asked me if we have to do eyes and mouth. Absolutely.
Can we do it in a black Sharpie or does it have to be a cutout?
I went there when
You're the artist, you're creating. How about if we give ourselves about 10 more minutes to start wrapping up our composition?
So it might be generous.
If you haven't already started gluing, let's start gluing your people down and getting them together. Wonderful. If you have not already written your name on the back, let's write our names on the back now. Please.
Hello, Dolly. Dolly. Fighting at your back where you belong. Oh, you looking swell, Dolly. I can tell, Dolly. You keep blowing, still growing, you still going strong. I feel the room swaying, the band playing. On every tunes from way back when, yes. Take a rap, fellas, land on an empty lap, yes.